Hey guys, Effie here. Today I'm going to show you how I made this card using our Dearest Peony stamp, and I did some color pencil coloring. So let's begin. I'm going to create my backdrop first by using our glass windows background stamp. I'm going to emboss this onto regular cardstock. So I'm going to ink up my stamp with some clear sticky embossing ink, and then I'm going to lay my A2 size card panel over the stamp, put a piece of printer paper over the entire panel stamp, and then I'll use my Baren tool to help apply some nice even pressure over the entire panel, and this way I'm going to get a nice crisp stamped impression. Then I'm going to spoon on some silver glitter embossing powder, and if there are any stray powders, I'm just going to take my small paintbrush to brush away those areas where I don't want that powder to get on. After I've melted all of that embossing powder, I'm going to go ahead and stamp this beautiful Dearest Peony stamp onto, again, some regular cardstock. We're not doing any special watercoloring or anything like that. We're just going to do some no-line coloring with colored pencils. Since we're doing no-line coloring, I want to stamp this image in a nice light ink, so I'm using our Vanilla Frosted Cupcake dye ink. Once I've stamped that, I'm going to use my RV00 Water Lily Copic marker. Now this is a very light, subtle pink, and I like using it for the base color of my floral petals. Now I know I said we're doing color pencil coloring, but I'm going to put down a base layer of light pink for all of my petals. That way, when I go in with the different layers of colored pencil, we're going to have a more smoother, seamless background in each petal. And to get that, I use my Water Lily Copic marker for my base color. I'm going to color in each individual petal with this Copic marker, and I'm starting at the base layer of each petal, and I'm going to bring some of that color up to almost the edges of the petals, but I'm making sure to leave some white space towards the outer edges because I still want that highlight in each petal. So don't color in the entire petal, leave just a little bit of white space. Next, I went in with a light pink color pencil. I'm using Polychromos colored pencils for this project, and I'm just going to kind of go over that Copic base layer that we just put down. Now you're probably wondering why I went through the trouble of putting that Copic base layer when I'm just going to cover it up with this light pink color pencil. For me, it's a very subtle technique that adds a lot to your project, and you can't really tell it's there once you're finished coloring your entire card. But say you hadn't gone forward with this extra step of the Copic coloring, at the end you can kind of tell the difference. But for me, I like this technique because I don't have to work as hard when I'm blending my color pencils later on. So I'm just going to continue and color in all of my florals, or rather color in all the petals with this light pink color pencil, and then I'm going to go in with 2 more shades of color pencils to add the shading and additional contrast. Once I finish coloring in the petals of my peony, I'm going to go ahead and start coloring in the greens. And I'm going to use the same technique for the greens as I did the petals. So I put down a base layer of Copic marker coloring. I'm using YG13. Now this green is not as subtle or light as that water lily Copic marker, but that's okay. I'm just going to make sure that as I color in my leaves that I use nice light feathery strokes as I color in most of that leaf. And this is all going to blend in once I add my colored pencil coloring. Since we have these solid leaves in the background, I didn't want to leave them yellow. We did stamp them in our vanilla cupcake dye ink, and it's a nice light and subtle ink. So I'm just going to color over these leaves with my lightest green color pencils. After I colored in all those background solid leaves with my light green color pencil, I'm going to go back and add some additional shading and contrast to the leaves and foliage, or stems rather, that are in the foreground. So this is my leaf green color pencil, and I'm just adding some additional shading. At this point, I went back in with my leaf green color pencil to add some more shading to those solid leaves in the background. You could have left them with that one light green color pencil layer, but I wanted to add a little bit more depth and interest, so I went and took that extra step of adding this shading detail to the background leaves. Once I finished coloring in this beautiful image, I just fussy cut the image out, and then I took my X-Acto knife and I cut out some of those negative portions that are inside the image, and I just carefully cut those negative areas, and I made sure to use a self-healing cutting mat. As I'm using this blade, I'm mostly turning the cut image around as I need to. And one safety tip, just remember, never put your fingers in the path of where you are cutting or slicing. Next, I stamped this label from our Modern Labels stamp set onto some white cardstock in our Noir dyed crisp black ink. Then I fussy cut this label out. I have been scrapbooking lately, and I love all the layers that scrappy people use in their projects. So I wanted to translate a little bit of that into my card making. So that's why I'm using this label to kind of ground my Dearest Peony. And I love the look. I love the stark black ink and the focus that it brings to my project. So once everything was cut out, I mounted it onto my glass windows background panel with dimensional foam tape. For the sentiment, this comes right from the Dearest Peony stamp set. I just stamped it onto cardstock and then cut the strip out and popped it up right over my project. Lastly, I added some of our silver holographic sequins in visual triangles surrounding my floral image, and my project is now complete. All you need to do is put this onto a card base and you're done. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's tutorial. It was a little long, but I hope the tips and tricks that I showed you will help you in your future projects. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel because I update it regularly. I'll see you next time.